Chris Pappas is one of our Leadership 100 members and members of the Executive Committee. Chris has been with us for a long time. He's been a great supporter. He's a great businessman, very successful. I think most of you, if not all of you here, know him. Don't think he needs much more of an introduction, but Chris, thank you very much. Chris will introduce our next speaker, and you will see the connection, obviously, and we'll look forward to that.
Well, welcome, Leadership 100 family members. I'm excited to be here today. As parents, we spend the early years teaching our children the basics, how to talk and walk, and eventually how to ride a bike. I can still remember my daughter Katina learning to ride her bike for the first time. She fell down many times, crying each time she fell down, and shortly thereafter, we pushed her out one more time, and for the rest of her life, she was in balance. I can still remember watching her do that today. It's very vivid. She wasn't just learning how to move forward on riding a bicycle, as I relate. She was learning how to find balance. That early lesson in physical balance became a theme she carried throughout her life, one that later showed itself in her ability to balance a high-level business career with a loving family. Katina's ability to take charge as a child didn't stop at riding that bicycle. I can relate that when she was 6 years old, she played t-ball, and completely on her own, she executed a triple play all by herself. Even at that young age, I can laugh, she knew exactly what to do when she was in charge and when the pressure was on. She's had that blend of poise, tenacity, and leadership has defined her life's journey so far. She's built a strong educational foundation. She earned a degree from the University of Virginia, the French Culinary Institute, and later Harvard Business School to add to it. She's translated that foundation into a successful business career. She'll be the first to tell you that her greatest accomplishments are rooted in her faith and her family. She's happily married, raising a 7-year-old, and is the pillar of strength with our Greek community in New York. She's here today to inspire the next generation of young leaders to live that balanced life where one's faith, family, and professional excellence go hand in hand. Please join me in welcoming my lovely daughter, Katina Dermatas. Katina?
Your Eminence, clergy, presbyteras, members of the board, and Leadership 100 community. Before I speak about anything else, I want to begin by thanking my father for being up here with me today. Dad, being introduced by you is very humbling. Thank you. I will do my best not to make this public display of affection a habit, but while I have you here, I will take a few minutes to give proper credit where it is due, because so much of what I will speak about today began with you and Mom. Growing up, I watched my father build his career with integrity and patience. He believed that success was not something you chased directly, but would come if you showed up and earned it each and every day. And wow, did he earn it? I have been fortunate to witness that truly no task is below his pay grade. The hard work, putting in the time, and never settling has been the ultimate recipe for his successful career in hospitality. What started as a kitchen equipment company with his dad, uncles, and 2 brothers evolved into a restaurant and hospitality empire that spans the Southeast, with 100+ restaurants over 5 decades. Beyond his successful professional life, my father has been a devoted steward of the Greek Orthodox faith. One of the most powerful examples I witnessed was his leadership in the renovation of the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Cathedral in Houston, Texas, our hometown church. The project required 5+ years of quiet persistence, strategizing, fundraising, endless problem solving, and an unwavering belief in the importance of preserving something sacred, yet building for the future. His efforts were ensuring that future generations would inherit a beautiful place, built soundly and to endure. Incredibly, he managed this all while he executed a full-time job at Pappas Restaurants and was a dedicated father, husband, and papu. I asked my dad recently what his official title and scope was at Pappas Restaurant. He has responded with an earned, carefree smile. Founder, and I get to work on anything I want. I don't think anyone ever officially asked him to step into the cathedral renovations in Houston. Papu Project is what he is affectionately known around our house. Anita appears, he is confident in his ability to execute, he is committed. And then before you know it, the job is done. If you know him well, his backpack is his calling card, ever ready for what is next. From my father, I learned that true leadership is not about titles, it is about commitment and doing, about what you are willing to carry forward and build for others to achieve their goals and their successes. I am grateful not only for his introduction today, but the example he has set for my entire life. Thank you, Dad. Today, I will also share a little bit about me, both personally and professionally, and perhaps my best guess as to why anyone would ask me to speak at such a distinguished group, at this prestigious event. As mentioned, my story begins in Houston, Texas. I was born fourth-generation Greek American into a large Greek community with cousins, theos from both sides that were very active in my daily life. My mom was one of 7, my dad was one of 4. We all lived within a mile of one another. I will let you do that math, but I can tell you it felt like we couldn't go a Sunday without a birthday party after church. On top of that chaos, I was the second oldest of 5 kids. I grew up with typical Greek girl American rules with a Texas twist. My siblings and I attended a Baptist lower school, where being Greek was most definitely a novelty. In those days, I had thick glasses, very curly, untamed black hair on my head, and like other Greek girls, our rules were a little different. Of course, I desperately wanted to fit in with these Southern Baptist girls. When they went to church, they didn't have to fast. Their church services were on TV, and they were in English. No Greek school or tutors or late-night Holy Week services. How foreign this was all to me. I wondered often, why did my parents send us to a school where worshiping felt so different? Fast forward to today, I married a fellow Greek American from Macon, Georgia in 2013. Nick and I committed to raising our daughter in the church as well as with as much Greek culture as possible. Now, 7 years old, our daughter Amalia attends an all-girls Catholic school on the Upper East Side. But of the 49 girls in her class, there are 6 other Greek girls in her grade. 6. We carpool to Greek school, singing and practicing Greek lines for their upcoming pageants. She participates in Greek dance classes and happily attends Sunday school. She embraces Greek services, excited to stay up late for the Anastasy. Greek Orthodoxy already feels, with great ease and no major questions from her, like a central tenet of her life. So why did my parents send us to a school where we felt different? I don't think it was an accident. I think they wanted us to learn appreciation, to see the world a little more clearly by understanding perspectives beyond our own. And because of that, Greek Orthodoxy isn't something I simply inherited. It's something I've chosen with open eyes and an open heart, grounded by both my cultural roots and the spirituality of the religion. A bit more about my professional life. I attended the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and I began my career in finance at Jefferies in New York, before making a very deliberate pivot into hospitality and consumer brands. Put simply, investment banking was not for me. As my dad mentioned, I trained at the French Culinary Institute and completed my MBA. Over the past decade, I've held senior leadership roles at the bakery chain Milk Bar. If you're familiar with it, we make birthday cake truffles, cookies with coffee and chocolate chips and peanut butter in them, very fun, sprinkles. A VC-backed delivery startup called Maple, which was acquired by Deliveroo, and operating roles in fast casual and fine dining. Today, I'm proud to serve as the CEO of Laduree in the US, the American arm of the luxury French pastry house that started in 1862 in Paris. In this role, I oversee growth across retail, e-commerce, and strategic partnerships. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to work with brands that genuinely inspire me and quite often, ones I was a devoted customer of long before I joined. When I have been asked about my career, the question is often framed as though leadership is a final destination. How did you get here? As if one day you arrive at the top of the hill, fully formed, very certain, complete. My experience has taught me something very different. I can tell you with confidence, I am not at the top of that hill, and I am very much still being formed. What has shaped me to this point are not degrees, classroom trainings, or promotions, but visible possibilities. Lived examples I have been witness to of small and large achievements and failures in both my personal and professional pursuits. First, I was shaped by growing up in the Orthodox faith, a Greek American in Texas. Faith was lived, practiced, and woven into our daily life. It taught me reverence for tradition and the responsibility to serve something larger than myself. It grounded me in values that did not shift with circumstance, and it continues to inform how I make decisions, especially in seasons of uncertainty. It has made me more empathetic to the circumstances of others, always asking, where are they coming from? Why did they make this particular decision? Before I make any judgment or jump in. Second, and just as formative, was that I was fortunate to grow up surrounded by living examples of what was possible. If you see it, or even glimpse it, you will believe that you can achieve it. I watched my father work relentlessly, modeling perseverance and discipline. I learned strength and steadiness from my mother, unwavering, anchoring, and completely irreverent at times. And I grew up in a family of women who defied expectations long before it was fashionable to do so. My mother's mother, Yaya Catherine, was an avid reader, an English major at the Rice University, who believed deeply in putting penmanship, grammar, and putting pen to paper. She was also a baker, endlessly curious in the kitchen. My father's mother, Yaya Mary, well, she bucked all expectations. She had a pilot's license, she worked outside the home in sales for Quaker Oats, and she smoked cigars. Both of my grandmothers were fiercely independent, unapologetically themselves, and deeply committed to their Orthodox faith and our family's heritage. My Yaya Catherine, she is now 96 years old, still brilliant, still beautiful. The choices my grandmothers made were not what was traditionally expected of most women at that time, and they were definitely very atypical for first and second generation Greek Americans. In their kitchens, I found my first sense of independence, learning to cook family favorites, then experimenting on my own, and discovering how hospitality builds community. I traced the confidence they instilled in me to try a new recipe, to choose an unconventional path, and to show up each Sunday, back to their stories and their influence. My own mother dedicated her time to our family and somehow allowed us each to find our individual passions, even if they were paths unfamiliar to her. Studying abroad, moving to New York City, attending out-of-state college, deep-sea fishing in far-off places, that's not me. Despite her Greek mom worry, she allowed each of us to push into uncharted territory with minimal guilt. Mom, thank you for showing me the way. Then I had my cousins and sisters alongside me. My brilliant first cousin Mary attended business school and chaired the Greek festival in Houston. My sisters each pursued careers in food and hospitality, but also were determined to raise families and focus on faith. As we planned and strategized our lives together, I agreed wholeheartedly, yes, let's make that work a priority. Finally, in an unconventional twist, because most people don't stand on a podium and praise their mother-in-law, I want to credit my mother and father-in-law for their remarkable examples of stewardship. At the heart of their Greek Orthodox community in Macon, Georgia, they have selflessly devoted years to their church, leading the choir, chanting, volunteering their son year after year as the altar boy or to play Joseph, hosting coffee hours. What began as a modest chapel has been transformed through their quiet leadership into beautiful new church with iconography worthy of any cathedral. If you find yourself in Central Georgia, it's definitely worth a stop. In my professional life, I've also been fortunate to work with companies that value and seek strong female leadership. Both Milk Bar and Laduree have C-suites that are predominantly female. Many of us in similar stages of life, raising children, building careers, and navigating the very real busyness that comes with being a working mother. As I was writing this speech, I realized much of this is actually the reason why I left investment banking. It wasn't the work. I could do the work. I just could not see myself in those future roles. All of the examples I have shared were women I knew, women I loved, women I deeply respected. They made the climb visible. When I reflect on my path, I don't see a single model to follow. I see examples that gave me hope. People whose lives made the first step feel possible, even if the direction was entirely my own. And that, more than anything, is what continues to shape what I am becoming. Finally, I want to speak directly about my faith. Like most of us, my faith has been tested through the trials of life. In those moments, I have turned to the words of the Psalms. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalms 34:18. These words remind us that suffering and hardship are not to be feared or avoided, but something through which God draws near to us. Through the sacraments and the unwavering continuity of our Orthodox tradition, we are given a path, one that sustains us in sorrow and strengthens us in uncertainty. I am profoundly grateful to belong to a faith that does not turn away from life's hardships, but walks with us through them, pointing us towards healing and meaning. In New York, the Holy Trinity Archdiocese Cathedral affords me great peace as a parishioner and deep satisfaction as a member of the Board of Trustees. The work I have been asked to do mirrors what I have done to build community in my professional life. Despite this, I was hesitant to take the appointment to the board and the executive committee, given our already busy lives. My husband, Nick, was quick to encourage me to take the role. Thank you. When things get stressful and I feel out of control, I find that doing and being supportive of others lowers my temperature. Over the past 2 years, my role on the board has expanded my understanding of the mission of Orthodoxy and the responsibilities I have as a steward. I'm not exactly sure when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I became that person for my community. Where could they find the Holy Week schedule? Does the priest give holy unction to go? No, he does not. How to schedule a 40-day blessing, and even apologizing to me for missing a Sunday service. I truly never judge, and I am certainly not keeping track. Alongside that, though, I've been deeply moved by messages from fellow female parishioners who shared how hopeful and inspired they felt seeing me take on the role on the board. And that's when it really clicked for me. We see young people find their way into the life of the church in new and meaningful ways. We've heard from His Eminence very much about this. Nationally, Orthodox Christianity in the US remains a small but vibrant tradition, and nearly 1 in 4 Orthodox Christians today is under the age of 30. I share that not as a statistic meant to live in a vacuum, but as a reminder of how critical these young parishioners are as they grow in their faith. When young people see their contemporaries modeling devotion, when they are personally invited to participate and to lead, the beauty of our tradition becomes not just something they inherit, but something they choose, own, and carry forward, building a new cohort of leaders for our church. And that's why our presence here and the examples we set and the work that Leadership 100 champions truly matters. Very often, the examples that shape us most are closer than we realize. The young woman ushering on Sundays, the mother balancing a full life who still makes time to teach Sunday school, the yaya who sat beside you in church each week, pinching your leg to sit still. Pay attention to the people whose choices, big or small, resonate with you because they are grounded in reality and faith. And just as importantly, recognize that many of you here may already be that living example for someone else. Whether you intend to be or not, someone is watching you lead through complexity and how you hold your values steady in seasons of pressure and change. Personally, I know that I will take so much back with me from this weekend. In closing, I would first like to thank my dad, my mom, and the rest of my family for being here. My husband, Nick, who knows me, supports me, and is spirited enough to push me on a daily basis with humor and sincerity. My daughter, Amalia, who brings me the greatest joy each and every day. My sisters and brothers, who have been alongside me, my original pew buddies in church. I would like to sincerely thank the Leadership 100 board, the executive committee, and the entire Leadership 100 community for this extraordinary honor and for welcoming my family here this weekend. I am grateful for the work that you all do to strengthen our faith, support education, and invest in leaders of tomorrow. Specifically, thank you, Paulette, for the opportunity to be here today. I will strive each and every day to truly earn this honor. Thank you.